If you've been watching my videos up until now, we've provisioned several services on the VNXe. So now let's look at how we protect that data once it's there. In this video, we'll look at data protection, snapshots, and local replicas. We'll cover application consistency and remote replication in the next video. So we'll start off from the VNXe console inside Unisphere. Let's look at our VMware data stores. I have an NFS data store and a VMFS data store. We'll use NFS for our example. If I look at the details of that data store, I have a snapshot tab. Since I didn't enable a snapshot schedule, I don't have any here yet. So let's go take a look at what's inside that data store from vCenter. Okay, so I have a machine here, and I also have an ISO directory. Let's go back to the VNXe, and let's take a snapshot of this file system. I can take a manual snapshot anytime I want. We'll call this test. Okay, now I have a full point-in-time copy of my NFS1 data store. Let's go back to the vCenter and see what's changed. So I'm in my ISO directory. I'll go ahead and delete one of the files that's there. Now I'll go back up to the top level of this directory. And I see I have a new directory here. This directory contains a snapshot that I just took on the VNXe. So I can browse into this directory just like I would any other folder. And if I go into the ISO directory, I should find the key file that I deleted from the primary data store. And here it is. I can copy this and I can move this back to the directory where it belongs. So not only could I do a single file restore from these snapshots, but I could restore the entire snapshot and overwrite everything in the data store if I wanted to. Now let's take a look at the VMFS case. If I browse my VMFS data store, here's my Windows 7 machine, and here's a template. We'll go back into the VNXe. We'll take a snapshot of that directory as well. I'll open up the details. And again, I've got a snapshot tab, and I do have a snapshot schedule already set up for this data store. I can take another snapshot now. I can have up to 96 snapshots per file system in the VNXe. We'll also call this one test. Now, iSCSI snapshots work a little bit differently than NFS snapshots. I won't immediately see this snapshot if I go back to browse the data store. I would need to promote it. And when I promote a snapshot, it'll look like an additional disk to the ESX server. I'll show you what that looks like. We'll select this data store, this snapshot, and we'll promote it. Okay, so now we should be able to go into vCenter and see the new disks. If I go into hosts and clusters, and I drill down to a single ESX server here and look at storage adapters, this is my software initiator, and you see this second target here that's just appeared with a LUN ID of 128. That's the snapshot that I just promoted. I can go to storage and click Add Storage to make this available. To disk or LUN, we'll select it. And finish. Now in just a few seconds we should see that new disk pop up in the data store menu. And there it is. So if I browse this data store, I should find those contents to be identical to the original. And they are. So from here I could also do a single file restore. Or from the VNXe console, I could take the entire data store and overwrite the primary with one of the snapshots to recover the entire file system. Now let's take a look at another use case. Again, we'll go back to our NFS1 data store, and this time we'll look at how we would replicate this locally. I'll go to my replication tab, and I can launch a wizard to do replication from here. Okay, I don't have a destination. I need to create one. There's a wizard for that as well. VNXe will populate the wizard with the appropriate information based on what the source file system looks like. So I really don't need to enter much data here. I'll go ahead and configure space for this. I may want to replicate this replica onto another system, so I'll need that space in order to hold the initial snapshot. And we're going to have default access from my ESX servers to the replica. Okay, now I have a destination for the replication session, so that will hold the replica of the file system I'm about to create. If I look at synchronization and I look at advanced, here I can configure the RPO with a slide lever. The RPO is the recovery point objective, and this tells me the maximum time that the replica could be out of sync with the original. If I choose less protection by moving the slide lever, my RPO will go up, but I'll have a lower impact on performance, on network traffic, but I'll consume more storage. If I slide it down toward more protection, it's more of a performance impact, more impact on network traffic, and I'll consume less space. So we'll go with a default of 1 hour. I can review the details, click Finish, and I'm done. Now if I go back and look at storage, I'll be able to see my new replica. And there it is. Now I can use this replica for a number of things, since it is a full point-in-time copy of my original file system. I can use this for disaster recovery or business continuity, particularly if I do it remotely. Or I can use it to replicate my data stores for a test or development environment. Since I gave my hosts access to this, they can all access it just like they would any other data store. All right, now let's look at how we would do this for a Windows shared folder. If you saw my video on CIFS, you've probably already seen this, but I think it bears repeating since we're talking about data protection. We'll go into shared folders. Here's my share 1. We'll look at the details. And again, I have a snapshot tab, and I've got a few snapshots that have already been taken. We'll go ahead and create one. We'll call it test 2. Okay, so now that I have that snapshot, I can go to a Windows host that has that share mounted. Right click. I can delete a folder. Now I can right click on that share and restore previous versions. And here are all the snapshots that have been taken of this file system. I can drill into any one of these and select files to be restored to the primary. Here's my public folder. I can copy that and put it back where it belongs anytime I want. And again, we support up to 96 snaps per file system. So I hope this video has given you an idea of how easy it is to configure both snapshots and local replication on the VNXe. But we're not done with protection just yet. We have another video coming up that talks about application consistency as well as remote replication. So please take a look at that.